Welcome to another edition of Special Edition on Litter Media Live. I'm your host, Mike Smith, and Terressa Reep of the Chillicothe Restoration Foundation is joining us today. Terressa is a favorite of ours that we have in here frequently. She wears so many hats in this community. I asked her, okay, who are you representing today? It's the Chillicothe Restoration Foundation, and we're going to be talking about the tour of the Canal route through Chillicothe. Our interview today is brought to you by the Bean Foundation. Back with Terressa Reep right after this. The Bean Foundation wants to raise awareness about suicide prevention by sharing 988. Trained crisis counselors are available to talk 24/7, 365 days a year. 988. Save the number. Save a life. To learn more about the Bean Foundation, click on this ad on littermedia.com. We're back with Terressa Reep of the Chillicothe Restoration Foundation. And Terressa, the tour of the canal route through Chillicothe.
Right.
This is the Erie Canal, right?
Yes, the Ohio Erie Canal that ran from north of town, along 104, came right through town, and then went on south to the Ohio River.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people of my age are very familiar with the Erie. We used to sing a song in elementary school, "Low Bridge, Everybody Down," about the Erie Canal.
That's right, and
River.
we had some low bridges right here in Chillicothe.
Right. So, but that came right through this area. People that are watching in Pickaway County, you're familiar,
absolutely,
with all of that, all the way down into Pike County to the Ohio River. Where was this canal? Where did it actually run through Chillicothe?
In Chillicothe, it came right down Water Street was part of it. It went right through Water Street, and the canal smokehouse, the old canal smokehouse, it turned there. And you would think, the way that the buildings are laid out, that it went down Mulberry, but it went around that big canal warehouse. It went around there and then catty-cornered through the parking lot of Sack and Save. And then right on down Canal Street, there's a canal keeper's lock house is still there. And then it went around close to Poland Park and then on out of town. And on the north end, it went up right around Yoctangi and then on out to 104.
Yeah. So for those of you who are younger, if you thought Water Street in Chillicothe was named after Yoctangi Park Lake, that's not exactly right. No,
that was the water.
Yeah, that was the canal. Yeah. What year or what era are we talking about? 1800s.
Yes, in the mid 1800s to the late 1800s.
Right.
And it, you can see the buildings, like on Water Street. There's some on Mulberry, Dart Hunter Studio. Those were all canal buildings, and they have those upstairs doors to nowhere on the second and third floor.
Yeah.
And that's because they were warehouses and there were big pulleys. So things could be stored up there, and then they were loaded on the canal boats with pulleys.
This tour is coming up on June the 22nd from 1 to 5 p.m. Talk about who's putting that on and what all is going to be included.
Okay, it's going to be a big day in Chillicothe, 1 to 5 p.m., and it's the Chillicothe Restoration Foundation that's sponsoring this. And the tour route will actually, the tickets are available at the Canal warehouse, which usually is not open to the public. And that's the big canal, the warehouse right across the street from Sack and Save. And that's going to be open for tours that day, and that'll be included in your tour ticket. Franklin Conaway is going to lead tours through that building. So that's a rare thing that doesn't usually happen in Chillicothe. The other place that's going to be open is going to be Dart Hunter Studio. So that will be open. And tickets are available there. And then from there, you can go in either direction. And everybody will be given a map. And you'll go through the Sack and Save parking lot down to Poland Park that way. And on the other side, you'll go up Water Street and over to Yoctangi. So that'll be the route for the day. And along that route, there will be 7 tour guides. And at each stop, and it's a self-guided thing. So you just, when you get there, the guide will explain to you what was happening in that particular place. the last time we did this tour, my station was in the parking lot at Sack and Save, and there actually was a large lock there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I mean, we have wonderful, wonderful pictures of this era. So there'll be tents set up along the way where you won't have to be in the hot sun. You can, and at each tent will be a guide that tells you a little bit more about the canal, shows you pictures of what was there, and not just the facts. There's also lots of stories that went with the canal. In my spot on the last tour, there were 3 ladies that had been at a meeting, and they were walking home from the meeting down Mulberry Street. Or no, I'm sorry, they were on Fifth. They were on Fifth Street, and someone mugged them.
Oh, my.
Tried to steal their purses. So the next time they went out, one of the ladies' husbands dressed in her clothing and went along to wait for the mugger. And sure enough, he was mugged. And he knocked the guy out, knocked him into the canal, but the guy ran away, but his hat fell off. And he was kind of a ne'er-do-well that had hung out in various places wearing his hat all the time. So his hat identified him, and he was prosecuted. So, I mean, there's a lot of fun stories like that. It makes it personal.
To our producer, Aaron Glenn, if you have that poster that I gave you to use. Okay, now if you're watching us right now, you see this picture. I'm assuming that that's a canal boat, of course, and you see the canal. That's Water Street, correct?
That is correct. That's Water Street.
Yeah, and we're looking east to west down the street.
You're at the east end looking west. Right. That's correct.
So where Yaktangi Park Lake is now, what was there then? Was that the Scioto River?
Well, the river came that way, but there was also a turning point for the canal. So it was in use, but the river, the path of the river changed.
Right. I think the 1913 flood was a big part of that.
Yes, so it was all connected.
So that's kind of interesting for us in our contemporary times. We've never seen water on Water Street.
No.
But that's where that came from,
Yes, and it was the buildings on Water Street on the south side of the street. The canal was right there. It was right up next to those buildings.
Right. Proceeds for the tickets that are sold for the tour, of course, it goes to the Restoration Foundation. But how's that money used?
Well, right now we have a really big project. And what we want to do is we want to mark the canal route through Chillicothe. Right now, there's some small black and white signs that say Ohio Erie Canal. But what we want to do, we want to get some nice bronze plaques, mark it through town. We're looking for canal stones from the locks that we can use at pivotal points, like there was a pivotal point at the corner of Walnut, Water, and Yaktangi.
Yeah.
There was a turn bridge there. So we want to be able to have the big stones then with a brass plaque or a bronze plaque on them that explains what happened on that corner. So that's going to be kind of an expensive project to get all of those markers. I was talking to some people yesterday and about it, and we're thinking 3, 6, 9, and 6 is 15. 15 times 2, about $30,000 is what we need. And we're pretty close to it.
Oh, great.
We're pretty close.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is this the first year you've done this tour?
No, we've done this tour in the past. And every time we do a tour, Julie Lambert and Tom Troyster both are great researchers. They spend a lot of time researching, and we actually produce a booklet. And it's, it's like a half a page, a 5 by 8? Yeah, that size. And usually 40 to 50 pages with lots of pictures and lots of descriptions. The booklet that goes with this particular tour was written by Tom Troyster. And it's available the day of the tour for $7. Now, you can buy it downtown at Julie's on Paint and over at the History Store, and it's usually $10. But when you buy your ticket, it's only $7. And those booklets are full of Chillicothe history.
That's great.
Really good.
Again, we mentioned this is June the 22nd from 1 to 5. Sometimes when you have tours like this, you have to limit, each group to so many people. Is that
No,
nothing like that?
we don't do that. The way that it's worked out, and it works out pretty well this way. We've done a lot of tours, and people just get their tickets and they come down. And then, say if I'm a guide in a particular spot, and I'm talking, then they just stop and they listen, and then I go back and pick up the parts that they didn't hear. So just on your own.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you want to listen to the whole thing, fine. And if you want to just pick up your book and keep going, that's fine too.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to put any more on your plate, but I'm thinking when we went to Gettysburg, one of the things that they offer was a driving tour, and you could get these tapes. And as you're driving through, you get this. Is that something maybe way down the road, or?
Yes, the Visitors Bureau has some of those tapes.
Great. For
historic Chillicothe. I'm really kind of embarrassed. I don't know if we have one for the Canal or not, but that's something we could easily do.
Yeah.
And we want to, at some point, be able to link QR codes to these. I have to tell you, I don't really understand how all that works, but I know if that little box is on there and you hold your phone up to it, it'll start telling you about it. Yeah. So that's something that we want to look into. We think the Canal, there are a lot of people that are really interested in the Canal era. Sure. And one of the themes for Ohio America 250 has been transportation in Ohio. So this fits right in with that.
Yeah, this was trains, obviously replace the canal, but other than drawing wagons by horse, and aside from trains, the canal was huge in bringing materials, grain from the Ohio River or from Erie, Lake Erie, all the way down to the Ohio River, and of course, then over to the Mississippi and so forth. So this was a major highway, if you will.
Yeah, and it went all the way to the canal system throughout this part of the country connected with rivers, and it went all the way to you could go by water all the way to the St. Lawrence Seaway or the Atlantic coast, Philadelphia, Boston, D.C., those harbors. So it was a very, very important means of transportation.
I guess when you think of how critical or how vital the Erie Canal, for example, was, for people that haven't read up on their history, you think, well, how could Chillicothe have ever been the capital of Ohio? How could it have ever been the capital? When you realize how so much inventory, so much material, so much, even with the government officials that came through this area, when you think of all of that, it really isn't that tough to imagine, I can see how that was such a big spot on the map at that time.
And at that time, the way the highways, as such as they were, followed Indian trails, and so US 40.
Right.
So it was that connection to the East Coast and the nation's capital.
Yeah, of course, Zane's Trace.
Zane's Trace ran right through here.
Yeah.
One day I lived up on Bellcrest, and I looked out the window, and there was this group of men out in my yard by Bellevue, and Gary Argerbright was with them. And I went out there, and I said, "What do you guys do? What are you looking for?" And Gary said, "Well, Zane's Trace went right through your property."
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't know, but it was. So
fascinating.
There's so we're doing we're going to be doing this, and we're going to be doing another one in the fall of the Notable Souls at Grandview Cemetery.
Yeah.
That's one that's a tour that's really popular, and your tickets are available on Eventbrite, or just get them the day of the tour if you want. My email address is on there. You can always get a hold of me. And we're doing the tour for $15 a person. But if it's parents and it doesn't have to be parents, a family of 2 adults and 2 children for $20.
Great.
We really want the children.
Yeah.
We want the children to learn about the history of Chillicothe.
By the way, if you would like to email questions to Terressa, let me give you that email address. It's reepterressa@yahoo.com. Remember, this is a June 22nd event, 1 to 5, so you've got a little time, but don't wait too long. Get your tickets while you have that chance.
Yes. And you can call, and tickets will be available over at Julie's on Paint as well.
Terressa, thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, well, thank you. Always thank you for letting me promote Chillicothe.
Terressa Reep, today representing the Chillicothe Restoration Foundation, talking about their upcoming tour of the Canal route through Chillicothe on June the 22nd. Our interview on Litter Media Live Special Edition has been brought to you by the Bean Foundation.